Welcome, later viewers of this video. My name is Brandon Williamscraig, and this is...
I'm Morag from the UK.
And we are providing a class that is a response to a promise that I made to my employer, Learning Pool, to provide a class in which I would demonstrate how a somatic approach to conflict improves being a human being by attending to what people need by working directly with conflict. And as a result, it can improve whatever you do, including sales and being more efficient as an employee, the teamwork that you build in your professional situation, all of the above. And how we do that is, first of all, what we mean by somatic is that we imagine the process whole, rather than I have a brain and I have a body, and those are two things that I have. That's two different words that refer to the same process, the same way of making meaning out of experience. And I can do things physically that affect my psychology. I can do things psychologically, the way that I think and feel about things that affect what I do with my body. But basically, it's one whole process looked at as though you could look through different windows at it. So that's the first thing, is that we are going to do a somatic exercise. And Morag is an Aikido black belt, and I am an Aikido black belt, and we work together at really demonstrating what's possible with Aikido as a whole, rather than simply practicing techniques in order to be a martial artist in a dojo. And when you leave the dojo, those techniques stay in the dojo with your group of practice friends. We would like for the part of Aikido, which is a jujitsu, but a subset that preserves the attacker specifically while you are preventing them from harming you. You choose not to harm them so that you unplug the cycle of conflict as a whole. So there's no reason for them to come back looking for you. And what we've done is we've taken psychological principles and extended that idea to really resolving the conflict by trying to get everybody what they need, which is the definition of teamwork, which is also who you want to hire for your organization. So
in an English nutshell, I would say, summing up, maybe mind, body, and spirit with an attitude of kindness.
Say that one more time, please, because I think it may have broken up.
It's the combination of mind, body, and spirit with an attitude of kindness.
Lovely. And the question is, for us, how would we practice that rather than just talking about it and sort of recommending it to other people? And that's what we are doing. We're practicing it. And then, because it's a martial art and we're interested in conflict, we're practicing it under pressure, so that that's really what happens. That's our habit when we're under pressure and uncomfortable. And the most difficult times to be kind are what's happening, rather than easiest when we all see each other as similar. So we're going to bow in because it's a dojo, and then we're going to come back again. Okay. Okay. So the first thing is to imagine that every conflict is a reflection of difference, and that is one of the reasons other human beings exist, is to be different from us. And if our response to that is to try to suppress the difference, or to try to control the other person to dominate them, then immediately we have a conflict that's going to be ongoing until that itself is resolved. So the job is to imagine conflict as a training opportunity, so that we work through, by way of difference, to be able to resolve the needs that are present in the conflict and the difference. And we're doing that with our bodies because the body responds to all kinds of conflict as though they were physical. You have physical reactions to someone telling you something that doesn't fit with your worldview. And if you pretend that it's going to be a physical conflict without actually acting it out as though it were, you calm yourself in a way that allows you to make decisions consciously, working your way through conflict, whether it's physical, verbal, psychological, internal, external, cultural, whatever you like. So we start with that. we're going to move as though we were getting ourselves ready to make conscious choices about how we move when we're doing something weird under stress. So we do exaggerated movements as though we were going to do a physical martial art. Please join along with us. Breathe in as much as you can and out as far as you can. And let your imagination go out when your body goes out. And your imagination come back into yourself when you come to a small place with your body. Brings more oxygen, gets your brain working better. We're going to now pay attention to how our core directs our movement through our extremities. And bend your knees on the way back up. Reach out. You're filling your space. And reaching out. We also want to be able to move parts of our body without moving all of our body, so we can make specific choices. So let everything from your hips down stay where it is, and begin to move just your upper body by reaching with an arm in order to move just your upper body. This is also really good for your back, unless it's already injured profoundly. Yeah. And now I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to bend over. So I'm going to reach all the way out. I'm going to reach over as far as I can, and reach up as far as I can. And then I'm going to take this hand as close to the ground as I can get it, and then reach back up again and come back up again. And then I'm going to switch. And I'm going to do it on the other side. Up, up. I'm also choosing some of our exercises, and we're only going to do a few because the class is going to be short. Some of these that are really good for your back health, so that when you find yourself at your standing desk or sitting down in a chair, and you absolutely guarantee that you get up and take breaks, that you're not staring at a screen, because you must, that there are some of these things that you can do that are very brief that your body will be so grateful for. I'm going to do one more morag where we go down and grab the tree and pick it up and everything. And if you have one in mind that you'd like to introduce, you can or not right after that one, please. Like you're grabbing a tree, bend your knees and reach around and grab the bottom of a tree. Or actually, let's say it's a pot, and lift the pot straight up and then let it go past your head and dump it behind you, and lean so you don't pour it on your butt. And then come back around again, and then come back to one column and all the way down. Try to keep your back straight with your head lifting up. Go all the way down until your butt has to stick out. Grab the butt, bring it all the way up, past your head, leaning back to dump it. Back to one column, straight down. Grab it. You want to try one more on, or shall I do another?
One I think is quite good, talking about the tech, is the tech neck, where you're just doing that. So it's literally, we have that expression, stick your neck out, where you're really pushing against things. And then the drawing back, pulling away from things. So trying those different perspectives of, what's it like if I really push forwards with this idea, or draw back from this idea to get a wider perspective. And actually physically, obviously, it's really good for your neck if you're looking at the computer all day. And then ear to shoulder again, and rolling the head round, particularly shaking your brains round. It's really good for our vestibular system to have your head upside down, and that helps our balance. And balance is a physical thing, and it's also a mental thing. So bringing all that into it. It's quite good.
Lovely. And if you'd like to extend that, you can also do an exercise in which you leave your lower body where it is, and you point your head at the floor. You shift your weight all over to one side, and go all the way around, point your head at the floor. And then shift your weight to the other side across the bottom and bring your head back up again. And you can go both directions. Shift. Yeah. And again, martially speaking, you're preparing your body for all kinds of movement. Because if you find yourself under physical attack, it's necessary to feel confident that you can move your body in a way that allows you to respond to it. It increases your likelihood of success in responding to it because you've practiced, which is why people go to martial arts schools, is that they're creating new habits rather than just having fierce ways of thinking, oh, wait till I get mad, you're going to regret it sort of stuff. Doesn't actually lead to success in physical conflict in general. Practice does. There are many more possible exercises. If you would like to know more, please make contact with me. I'm happy to share them with you. I also have various videos online. But we're going to transition into a technique of sorts, which is, it's about body management. And I showed a bit of this on the video that I provided for the life skills series that Learning Pool put on their Instagram account. But this is a kind of an extension of what we did the last time. And it has great success with people who have brain injuries, people who have vertigo, people who have various issues about keeping their center and remaining aligned. So the job is to imagine yourself as one vertical line from the crown of your head, which makes your chin tuck slightly because you're lifting up through the crown, all the way through your back. And your butt may want to stick out or tuck in, and your job is to lift up and bend your knees so that your butt comes right underneath your spine, like you were about to sit down on something. And then with your knees bent, you're going to put a foot forward, but no balance in it, no weight. So I'm going to put my foot forward in a way that doesn't have any weight in it. But my knee is bent so it allows it to go out. Then I'm going to transition my weight forward, so then there's no weight in the foot that I was on before. So I'm going 100% weight on one foot, shooting the other one out with no weight in it, and then I'm transitioning my weight into the new foot 100%. And you can do that forward and backward and side to side. You might want to try that now. Bend your knees, shoot the foot wherever you would like it. There's no weight in it, and then pull yourself into the new foot so that there's no weight in the old foot. And you can tell if you're not really transitioning your weight because your head will move when you move the other foot. So one line of balance, one vertical line, shoot the foot, and then take yourself into it without your head wobbling, and there's no weight in the other foot. Now just move yourself around. So the foot goes first. And if you ever find yourself having trouble with balance, this is one of the ways to regain it, is by bending your knees just a little bit and shooting the foot out, and pulling your weight into the new foot. And this has all kinds of martial applications. Psychologically, when you prepare yourself for trouble, you approach whatever trouble you find with a different mind. And part of that is breathing, and part of that is opening your eyes. A special way to breathe is to breathe all the way in and hold it for a moment, and breathe all the way out and hold it out for a moment. There's all kinds of different stuff, but that's a great one to try. And when you look, you might want to try taking your eyes and pointing them toward the horizon, and then soft focusing to take in as much information as possible rather than looking at any one particular thing. Now I'm soft focused, and now I'm looking right at someone. And now I'm soft focused, and I'm taking in information, and now I'm looking right at something. So pinpoint focus, we spend a lot of time pinpoint focusing on screens and very little time soft focusing. Also, when someone calls you a name or tells you you're wrong or something like that, a lot of the time you'll do one or the other predominantly. You'll You'll focus away from them to try to get your own agenda back in your mind, or you'll pinpoint focus on them as though that were going to help in some way to put you in more control of the situation. And it's not that one or the other is good or bad, it's that you need to be able to smoothly go from one to the other because you've chosen to, rather than being triggered by someone to do the thing that's the easiest thing for you to do. Because a lot of the time, those triggers will be exploited by someone when they're wanting to dominate you. So the job is to notice what you're doing with your breath, with your attention, with your body, and then practice making specific choices about what you're going to do next. And then notice what the consequence is, as though you were conducting a scientific experiment, and report back on it to yourself so that you can then iterate the next version of how you'd like to respond, and then practice that. That's the definition of what martial arts do. Any good martial art does that no matter what. But that's just really a definition of the learning process, which is specific to our learning pool environment. So we are learning how to learn. We're practicing a way of doing something at the same time that we are keeping in mind how we'd like to apply what we're learning and the process that we're refining. Morag, did I say that in a way that was clear? Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I'm just going to say it in simple language, try it and see. And then use the feedback that you get. Oh, that didn't feel right, so I'll try it a different way next time. So basically, I think it's in a nutshell.
And you'd have to decide what your victory conditions are. What is it that you wanted to do?
Yeah.
What's the strategy? What tactic did you deploy? Is it aligned with your strategy? And what was the result? And when you do that with your conflict skills, every conflict becomes an opportunity to refine how you do conflict. So you're looking to see, well, what was I trying to achieve? And if you notice, I didn't really have a goal, I just was wishing I wasn't in the conflict, then you might want to try that a different way next time. Is that when someone brings up that feeling in you, I just want to be out of this, does that help? Does it help to refrain from making choices about whether you want to be in this conflict or not, just sort of waiting for it to be over? What is it that you naturally do? And then you would find a different way to experiment with that to see if that's more helpful.
Yes, and I think the idea of having self-control, and what you said about having your objective is, do I want to remain calm, or do I want to see the other person's point of view, or do I just want to end this as soon as possible? So those are all potential outcomes for physical or a verbal conflict.
And the only difference between none of this individually is a thing that other human beings have not discovered, named, practiced, that sort of thing. The challenge is to adopt for yourself a way of approaching it that systematizes your practice of it, so you can tell how you're making progress, and you have specific things to practice so that you're not constantly reinventing the wheel. I mean, that's why people make systems. That's why I made martial nonviolence, and why I do the conflict done well system, is that it provides guidance and modules and specific bits to learn so that you're not starting from scratch, basically. But anybody can take any conflict opportunity they have and think critically about it and decide, was that what I wanted? And then check and see, if it wasn't, what would need to be changed in your next iteration to see if you were more like, what would make you more likely to get what you need. And then when you've done that with yourself, you can then do that with other people. And you can make that part of your victory conditions, which is what really disassembles conflict. Is not only am I pursuing what I need in a way that feels good to me, but I'm also interested in whether I can assist you in doing the same thing. That way, I get what I need, you get what you need, and we don't need to do this particular conflict again and again and again in some cases. But it takes practice, I find. I find it difficult to just do that based on my thinking that I want to. I need repetition to be able to set myself up for success. So here's another thing to repeat. You'll want to be able to transition from your words to your movement for martial purposes. And you'll want to be able to transition from what happens in your body when you get in conflict to words in order to be able to negotiate, to propose, to describe, things like that. So we're going to move our bodies and with a basic script attached. I'll make sure I'm not going over my time. we're going to move our bodies, and there's going to be a script attached to the body pattern. And it's not that you would do this movement with precisely these words in a real conflict situation. Remember, we're learning a martial art, an art of conflict. So these are the basics that look on purpose like a script and a movement. And when you put them together, they're doing a thing to your brain and setting an expectation, a process expectation that you'll be able to move and speak and fluidly shift back and forth between the two. So please stand in a way that you're pointing one foot forward and one foot is back. You want the back foot to be able to cross without running into the front foot. So it's not a T shape, so they would run into each other. It's kind of an L, so that the back foot can pass the front. And then you're going to shift your weight back and forth between the front and the back. So if you were just standing, it would start by bending your knees and shooting the foot forward without there being any weight in it, and then pulling your weight into the foot so there's no weight in the back foot, and then pulling your weight back into the back. So we're going to shift our weight back and forth, and we're going to let that be expressed in our hands. So as your body goes forward, your hands reach out a little bit like you were holding a football, what Americans would call a soccer ball, right? So a pumpkin, whatever you like. And so the fingertips kind of go upish a little bit. The thumbs will adhere to the hand because they're easy to break, and martially speaking, you want to protect your thumb. And you'll see a little bit of palm, but it's not a stop position. It's a I'm holding something position. And your elbows and your shoulders are down, and your hands will move out and move back. And this is something that you can do in a physical conflict, where if you're forward, you can move back, but you can also put your hands up in a, hey, wait a minute, there's been a mistake position. It doesn't look like this, and it's not this waiting for them to get you. It's just a little bit of, oh, wait. And it could be anything, but you're really closing the distance to their head, martially speaking, is you're putting something that they'll have to deal with between you and them. And psychologically, the thing that might be said is the proposal that you'd like them to consider before they continue coming for you. You're putting something between you and them for them to consider. And then we're going to shift our feet so that when you come forward, you bring the back foot forward and you bring the forward foot back. And you've changed your position, but not a whole lot. So the words that you're going to attach to this are, I am here. So when you go forward, change your feet and you say, I am here. And you're not saying, I ain't moving, but there's a feeling of it. It can go in any direction.
I'm here.
I am here.
I'm here.
I'm here. I am
I'm
here.
here.
You could be showing up for them. I am here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here.
Or you might choose that you want to move in. You might say, I'm in the sense of, I'm joining in this project. You could also say, I'm out. So now when we move in, we'll say, I'm in. And when you bring your hands down and your body starts to go back, I'm out. You could switch your position. I am here. I'm in. I'm out. You can probably see the martial applications already. I'm in. I'm out.
I'm in.
I'm here.
I'm out.
And there's a whole series of movements that happen to be the underlying building blocks of Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu techniques. And I've associated scripts with them so that you're thinking about and moving and saying and all at the same time. And you're doing this in a way by yourself, and then you add someone who's a partner, and they interfere with you more and more and more, from not at all to a whole lot, and that becomes Aikido techniques, which also have scripts associated with them. And what we're working through in the conflict done well process is we're trying to be conscious about the choices that we're making under pressure when differences are extremely obvious and forefront. And we're finding our way through conflict to everybody getting what they need. And we're doing that not by thinking about how we should do it only, but by moving our bodies so that the stuff that goes on inside us when we're in apparently non-physical conflict does not get in the way of being able to negotiate, talk, propose, describe, doing all the stuff that civilized people do. Have I missed anything, Morag, or is there something that you would like to add?
I think that's good. Yeah, you're choosing whether to move in, to stand your ground, or to step back. And again, it's a mental process as well as the physical process.
Yeah. And there's a bunch more options. There's stepping to the side, there's helping, and eventually we're helping the other person find a place to fall down. That's basically what Aikido does. It gets out of the way and helps the other person fall down. There's lots more stuff to talk about, but what I would like to ask that you take away from this is, as we work with each other, we are given many, many opportunities to decide how we will do that. And a lot of the time we sort of run on automatic. And what I would like to ask, I would argue, for our survival as a species, is that we choose to work through difference, to work with conflict in a way that makes us more humane, where it's clear that I am thinking about what you need and not to manipulate you so that I'll get what I need, but to be clear that my winning conditions are you getting what you need and me getting what I need, and that we're going to work together until that's true. And that's what I'd like to ask you to take away from this. Thank you for your time. Okay.
Arigato.
And if you want to know more about why we do the little bowing in ritual and the bowing out ritual and all that sort of thing in Aikido, I would be happy to talk about that. Brandon.williamscraig@learningpool.com. Thank you very much. Thanks, Morag. I really appreciate your help.
Pleasure.